I'd like to give a quick shout out to Rob for the fashion tips. Who likes public speaking? Yeah, okay, most of us don't, and I certainly don't. I've never done any public speaking before, so I'm just going to wing it. I tried to make notes, and then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to talk passionately from the heart about what I've done through my life and where it's kind of brought me to today. So, yeah, in terms of the group here today, like I live by the adage, there's no strangers here, just friends I haven't met. And there's another valid point I had with that. Yeah, I bumped into a guy yesterday and said, we're not prospecting, we're making friends in all of us with our businesses. And it's when you make friends, you know, the first thing you have to do is get to know the person. So today I was just trying to give you a bit of my background so you understand, you know, where I've come from and how I can be of value. So I might fire away, Glenn. So I've lived on the Gold Coast since I was 2 years old, so you do the maths, I'm 55 now. And went to school, that's with my brother at Surfers Paradise Primary School, and Putt in, like, you know, when I was 7 or 8 years old. And I had a conversation, I think, with Lexi and Shauna this morning about how back in the day we used to ride our bikes everywhere, and I know every street in Ashmore Village, so, so yeah. Okay, cool, thanks Glenn. So, you know, I grew up, my father was a builder and moved up from Sydney, and all through my previous generations are all in the building industry, so I've kind of grown up with that. I had great parents and a great upbringing. I've got one brother. I lost my dad about 10 years ago, but he was a fantastic mentor for me, not only as a builder, but he was like my best mate. And he passed on a lot of great values about integrity, keeping your word, honesty, and if you're going to do something, you have a red hot go at it and give it your absolute best. So, anyway, I'm left with my lovely mum now. She's probably the most supportive person you know, I have in my life, and yeah, I'm really blessed to have a great upbringing here with my family. Thanks, Glenn. So yeah, building was basically in my blood. You know, Dad was a builder. You know, I did a carpentry apprenticeship. My father's business took off, and I was actually, by the time I was a third-year apprentice, I was actually running building projects. We built half that Nerang industrial estate in the 1980s, and I went on and that to build a lot of other things. I went to London when I was 22, and I worked over there for 9 months in building projects there. Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, travel's always been a really big thing for me. I've loved architecture and I love looking at buildings, and I've been everywhere. First holiday I ever went on was to Fiji, and when I was 10 years old, and I've been back there probably 12 times. I absolutely love Fiji. I've been around the world 3 times. I've been to America 7 times. I've visited 35 countries. Probably took pieces out of the Berlin Wall in 1990. And went to Havana, Cuba in 2016, which was great. And
you're the one that made the wall fall down.
yeah, that's right. I did my part for, you know, world peace and stuff. Henry?
You didn't do that round one, did you?
That was before they invented screw poles. Okay, thanks, Glenn. Okay, so my building career, I came back from overseas, formed a company called CIC Builders, and focused on commercial industrial projects. And I built 200 commercial projects. Typically, they were bigger, kind of large industrial buildings and things like that. I did some multi-residential stuff. I did 23 of these Kennard self-storage centres all around Australia. I used to, as a sideline, I used to buy houses and renovate them and flip them and stuff. This is the before and the after of one I did in Broadbeach Waters. So I've always been very much tied to the property industry. I've, you know, been a builder, been a developer. I've done commercial developments and commercial investment. So I've had a pretty good career, and you know, been exposed to a lot of different elements, and so I understand commercial and residential. And in that time, not only was I building all these buildings, I was building a network. So these days, I know I'm only, you know, in my phone, I've got town planners, I've got engineers, I've got tons of real estate agents because I used to buy and sell houses. So I've got relationships with real estate agents that go back 25 years, even longer when I stop and think about it. So So building was great. I definitely enjoyed the career. But it was all consuming. And when you take on a project like that one there's at French's Forest in Sydney, and that was an existing building. We added 2 floors on top and turned it all to self-storage. And when you take on a project like that, you've got to go down there, you've got to get a team of people, and you've got to bring the whole thing together. It's not just about one person, it's about engaging so many people to make it happen. And it's very rewarding, but I felt that it kind of sucked the life out of me, to be honest. You can be, it's to get through and see a project all the way through, you've got to be 100% committed. And that led me to stop and reflect. And the next slide, Glenn, it was to sort of stop. And 2015 came, and I went through a separation, divorce with my wife, and I sort of stopped and looked at my life and sort of thought, is what I'm doing, is it really serving me? And am I actually enjoying my life? And I took advice from some people, and they said, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to wake up at 60 and wonder what happened in your life. So I decided to put my life a little bit first, and my family, and so what I sort of took some time out and reset my life in a direction that I'm really happy with now. So I bought this place at Mermaid Beach, and I started to drive my daughter to school each week, and just wanted to be more present in their lives. And I've got 2 older kids that, for the next slide, mate, if you don't mind. 2 older kids, and I probably missed out on seeing a lot of these 2 grow up because I was so committed to my career and working and everything like that. And it's funny how like life goes in a roller coaster. You make all this money and then you can lose it like that. In the GFC, I was exposed with some commercial developments and stuff like that, and lost about 90% of what I had. So you build yourself back up, but all of that, what does money really matter if you're not really getting value out of the rest of your life? So I look at things a lot differently now, and relationships is the biggest thing for me. And your network is really your net worth. Who you know and who's in your life and who's important to you is really all that matters. So these days, this is my youngest daughter. She just graduated from school. That's Ella. This is my little fur baby, Latoya, who's 12. This is my mum, and this is my lovely Rebecca. So we've been together this year, and it's been fantastic. So I'm loving this relationship. Next one, Glenn. So as for me, I went to high school here on the Gold Coast, qualified carpenter, licensed builder, licensed real estate agent, even got a forklift license, boat and jet ski license. I'm a sponsor of the Miami Tennis Club. I played twice a week there. I inherited this old car from my dad, which is a great memory for him. I do hot yoga, and I'm probably nowadays I'm a lot more focused on looking after myself, mentally and physically, and I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been in, to be honest. And I do hot yoga, tennis, walks on the beach, and that's a bit about me. Bushwalks now. I've taken up bushwalks. That was 12k walk in Cradle Mountain a few weeks ago.
Wow, nice.
Thanks, Glenn. So with my reset, I decided I wanted a new challenge. So I went into real estate, and I did 3 years with London estate agents in Mermaid Beach, and then 3 years with Ray White at Broad Beach here. And a lot of the skill set that I developed in my building days with negotiation and just things like that were quite transferable. And I've lived on the Gold Coast so long, so I knew the area really well. And I enjoyed that experience, and I learned all the different sales techniques and everything like that. One thing though, I found that, no discredit to real estate agents, they do a great job, But real estate agents are trained salespeople, and they know all the different techniques and skills to try to get properties sold. And what I saw was buyers are coming along who buy a home once in a blue moon, have no skill set around how to negotiate. They don't really know what they're looking at, and they're guided by the real estate agent. And the real estate agent has got one objective, and that's to try to sell this home to that person. And they really, I felt that they need support. So at the start of this year, I created this company by GC. So we're buyers agents, so we're there to support the buyer through the journey, give them advice. And once again, all those real estate skills and the building skills and the Gold Coast background have, I think, perfectly positioned me to do this role. So that's basically what I do. In terms of the services, one more slide there. Oh, sorry, one more. Okay, so why do you need a buyer's agent? Sorry, mate, go back where you were. Okay, so there's probably 5 big things that, why you need a buyer's agent. You probably don't fully know the market. You might think you know the market and you're looking on realestate.com, but I have access to a wider band of properties because of the relationships I've got with real estate agents. They'll tell me about stuff they've got coming up that's not on the market yet, or stuff that they know can be bought off market. And a lot of there's a lot of transactions that happen that you never know about because they never go on realestate.com, never get advertised. So we get access to that. Another big thing is you're scared of paying too much. So we're studying prices all the time. And at the moment, there's a bit of a retraction in the market. So you could easily be paying too much for a property. You don't want to buy a lemon. You don't want to buy a house with problems. So I've got a building background, so I can identify if there's money to be spent on a property. And we can use that as a negotiating tool if you still want to buy that property. Representation with real estate agents, just as I said before, it's good to have somebody guiding you, saying you know the right questions to ask, when to say it, how to say it, and that's important. And time poor, how much time have you got to dedicate to finding the ideal property? We're all busy, and it's the biggest investment you're probably going to make. It's the biggest ticket item you're probably ever going to purchase in your life. Why wouldn't you want somebody to help you, guide you through the process? If you want to put money in shares, you probably ask a financial advisor, where should I put it, things like that. But a house is a big ticket item, and you want to get it right. It's expensive if you don't like the house, because you've got to pay fees to sell it again and stamp duty to buy another one. So that's it. So just flick last slide. Thanks, Glenn. This is the services we offer. So we search for properties, analyse properties, we negotiate, and obviously we can represent people at auction. So there's probably 3 things. We've got that A to Z service, if you like, where we source, evaluate, negotiate on property. That's the full service. The second thing is I've got a client, I went up to Yamundi yesterday to look at a property for a client who just specifically found this one property and wanted me to go up there, look at it, evaluate it. I took 67 photos, did a FaceTime phone call, I checked it out from a building point of view, and I sussed out the agent, and I'm positioning the conversations to try to buy the property. 42 people come through the open home, and he's had 6 offers. So I'm trying to get myself in the right position to be able to get the property for her at the best possible price. So talking through the terms and how we can make our offer the most attractive, not necessarily the highest price. So there's that, and then simply I can just come and be the person who bids on behalf of somebody at an auction. I've bought at auction, I've sold at auction, and I've run auctions when I was in my real estate career. I know how the game works. I know, what to wear, where to stand, how to behave.
When to put your hand up.
When to bid, how much to bid, how to bid, how you say it, all that, and every auction's different, and until it starts, you know, and starts rolling, you've got to be able to think on your feet, but you've got to have a plan of you know, how you're going to do it. So I do that. Representation at an auction is $750, and you know, that could save you $10,000, $20,000. So that's me.
Awesome.
Thanks very much. Has anybody got any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, are most of your clients local or interstate? And if it's mostly interstate, is there a lot of value if you're a local Gold Coaster in engaging your services? I gather yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course there is. Thanks, Katie. The interstate people obviously don't know the Gold Coast, don't know the market, don't know, you know, where things are and things. So it takes a little bit longer to you know, bring them up to speed to narrow down the searching. Gold Coast people may think, oh, I know the Gold Coast, why would I need a buyer's agent? Well, it's the points I made before about the relationships I have with the agents, the extra stock that I'll get hold of, and yeah, the network, and then the negotiation skills on how best to buy the property, whether we buy it, make an offer, you know, before the auction, at the auction, post-auction, different strategies. So it's the negotiation and the connections I have with all the agents.
So preventing buying a lemon, I think that's a big seller.
Well, yeah,
There's
of
a lot
course,
of
yeah,
lemons
that's
on the
right.
Gold Coast.
That's right. Yeah, you sort of get a
Yes.
you sort of get a bit of a 2 for 1 with me. I'm the buyer's agent in negotiation, but I've got that building background, and quite often I can look at a property and say, look, you know, someone might say I want a 4-bedroom property, and I go, well, hang on, there's a really good 3-bedroom one here, and you could convert the garage to another master bedroom or something like that and build a carport out the front, and hey presto, you've got exactly what you wanted, where it wouldn't have come up in your search request because you're only looking for a 4-bedroom home.
Yeah.
So thinking outside the square, that's the builder brain in me. As soon as I walk in a house, I'm already tearing it apart in my mind, working out how I can make it better. So like, hence when I was buying and renovating and flipping houses and stuff like that, I never bought something that was nice. You know, I would always buy the ugly duckling that had the biggest potential. Because even if I bought something nice, I'd probably want to tear it apart anyway. So.
Can I just add as well, what you do is a lot of people think if they're going to buy a property, they just got to put the highest price in and hope for the best. But that's literally probably about 20% of when it comes to actually buying the property. All the other skills and strategies that he uses, price really, yeah, it's a factor obviously. It's definitely not everything, and using someone like Gavin can definitely help get the right property.
I wish I'd known Gavin 2 years ago when my brother and sister-in-law were looking for a place. It took them over 2 years. They missed the brilliant time and they ended up having to buy an expensive time. And I was saying, you need an independent person to come and represent you, because my sister-in-law and my brother have very, 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 very different value propositions when it comes to money, and they needed someone that could simplify it and act on their behalf, and they just would have had a completely different outcome in buying into the market on the Gold Coast in this past couple of years.
Yeah,
there was
absolutely.
hardly any buyers agents on the Gold Coast. I was asking around, and it's great to have a local buyers agent. So thank you. I'm just
But
love it.
that's a great point. And the other thing is, like, I'm not emotional. It's not my house, so I'm there to analyse it and see the potential in the property and
Diagnosing it for them, because you've
exactly
built a
right.
relationship.
Yeah. And like, you know, and if somebody, and I'll put my barometer over it and I'll work out where I think it should land. It's not an exact science. There's one thing I want to make clear: buying a property is not an exact science. You know, we all know that phone costs $1,699, but when you buy a house, it depends on who else is trying to buy it at the time, how important it is to you. Like, you know, in auctions, for example, you'd say like, you know, I would say people think of 3 prices. There's the price that you have your cartwheel price, you'd be bouncing down the street, you'd be so happy you bought it for. Then the price that you think, honestly, if you weren't buying it, what would it sell for on the market? And then how much would you pay for it? Now, if you're an investor, you might only want to buy it if you can get it for the cartwheel price. But if your mother lives next door and you really want to buy that house, well, you might be happy to pay over that, and that's fine. That's completely fine. I'm not going to tell you not to, but you've got to kind of, you know, have that, and ultimately it's the buyer's decision what they want at the end of the day. But I want them to go in with their eyes wide open.
Awesome. Thanks so much.